The city was alive. With Friday night lights when Danielle Rivers' black sedan pulled up to the Crescent Palm Hotel. The building glowed like a jewel against the skyline. Her jewel. As the chauffeur opened her door, Danielle smoothed the sleeves of her navy suit and stepped onto the curb. She inhaled deeply. The scent of jasmine from the hotel garden mixed with the crisp night air. She didn't announce her arrival. That was the point. Surprise visits kept people honest. Tonight, she just wanted to watch her hotel in motion to see if it lived up to the standards she had built it upon. Inside, the lobby buzzed with elegance. Guests admired the crystal chandelier. A pianist played soft jazz near the bar. Bellhops rushed with carts, smiling at customers. Danielle's heart swelled with pride until she reached the front desk. The clerk, a young man with slicked back hair and an oversized attitude, barely looked at her. Checking in? His voice was clipped, impatient. Danielle gave a small smile. "No, I'm Danielle Rivers. He cut her off with a frown. "Ma'am, only guests are allowed beyond this point." "Please don't loiter in the lobby." The word stung like a slap. Danielle blinked, caught between disbelief and offense. "Excuse me?" "I said I'm Danielle Rivers." The clerk scoffed. "Yeah, and I'm Beyoncé. Look, we don't need any disturbances tonight. I'm calling security." Danielle's voice firmed. "Young man, I own this hotel." A couple nearby gasped, leaning closer to eavesdrop. The clerk snickered. "Sure you do. And I own the White House. Security." The lobby shifted. Guests stared openly now, whispering. Danielle's pride burned hotter than fire. 2 guards arrived, tall, broad-shouldered, and already annoyed. "Problem here?" one asked. The clerk folded his arms smugly. "She's pretending to be the owner. Probably looking for a free room. Won't leave." Danielle's jaw tightened. "My name is Danielle Rivers. Check your system. My name is on every deed and every contract tied to this building." The taller guard gave her a flat look. "Ma'am, we've heard it all before. Please step outside," she bristled. "Do not put your hands on me." But they did. One lightly gripped her elbow, steering her toward the doors as though she were a trespasser. The lobby became a stage. Every guest, every employee, silent audience members. Danielle's eyes darted across faces she recognized. The assistant manager stood by the elevators, eyes glued to his clipboard. A bellhop avoided her gaze, pretending to adjust luggage straps. A housekeeper whispered to a colleague. Not one stepped forward. Not one voice rose for her. It wasn't ignorance. It was betrayal. The glass doors closed behind her, and suddenly Danielle was out on the sidewalk. The cool night air brushed her cheeks. For 9 minutes she stood there. 9 long, agonizing minutes where strangers in her lobby stared at her as if she were a fraud. 9 minutes of humiliation as her staff whispered and laughed from inside. Her heels dug into the pavement. Each second hardened her resolve. By the 9th minute, Danielle Rivers no longer felt anger. She felt precision. She pulled her phone from her purse. Her voice was ice. "Get down here now," she told her assistant. "Bring the full ownership portfolio, contracts, tax files, everything. And call the lawyers. I don't care if it's late. This ends tonight." Her assistant didn't ask questions. She never did. "On my way, Ms. Rivers." Danielle hung up and stood taller, fixing her gaze on the glowing hotel sign above the doors. "They think they embarrassed me. They have no idea what's coming." Exactly 9 minutes later, the doors swung open again. Danielle walked back in, this time flanked by her assistant carrying a heavy leather folder, and 2 corporate lawyers in sharp suits. The entire lobby hushed. Guests leaned in, sensing something monumental. The clerk who had mocked her paled, his smirk vanishing. The guards froze mid-step. Danielle's heels clicked across the marble like thunder. Every step carried authority. Every glance silenced whispers. She stopped at the front desk, resting one manicured hand on the counter. "Since you refuse to believe me, let's make this official." Her assistant laid the folder open with deliberate precision. Inside, deeds, registrations, contracts, all bearing Danielle Rivers' signature and seal. "Read it," Danielle commanded. The clerk swallowed hard, flipping through the pages. His face turned the color of paper. The manager rushed forward, stammering excuses as his eyes darted across the legal seals. There was no escape. Every line confirmed the truth. Danielle wasn't a guest. She wasn't pretending. She was their boss. The manager's hands trembled as he closed the folder. "Miss Rivers, I can explain." This was all a mistake. Danielle's stare cut through him like glass. No, this was a choice. You chose silence. You chose disrespect. And now, I'll choose what happens next. The air in the lobby grew heavy. The staff shifted uncomfortably. Guests exchanged shocked glances. For the first time that evening, Danielle wasn't the one being judged. They were, and she wasn't done. Danielle's voice echoed through the lobby. "Call every staff member to the ballroom. Now!" The order struck like lightning. Employees scurried, whispering nervously. Guests followed curiously, sensing drama unfold. Within minutes, the ballroom filled with uniformed staff, clerks, bellhops, housekeepers, managers, all lined up like soldiers awaiting judgment. Danielle took her place at the podium, her lawyers standing like pillars beside her. Her eyes scanned the room, sharp and unblinking. "Do you know what happened tonight?" she began, her tone calm but edged with fire. "I walked into my hotel, the one I built from the ground up. The one my name sits on, from every chandelier to every paycheck." She paused. The silence in the room was thick, and yet not one of you recognized me. Not one of you thought to check before humiliating me in front of strangers. Not one of you spoke up when I was dragged out like a trespasser. Shame filled the air. Heads dropped, her voice hardened. "Respect is the foundation of hospitality, but tonight you gave me none. If you cannot respect your own employer, your own leader, then what hope do guests have?" Her words struck deeper than any shout. A murmur rippled through the staff, but no one dared interrupt. Danielle's reputation as a decisive, fearless CEO wasn't just rumor. They were living it now. Her eyes locked on the front desk clerk, the one who had mocked her. "You," she said, pointing a steady finger. "You thought you were clever. That smug arrogance has no place here. You're terminated. Effective immediately." The young man's mouth dropped open. "Well, wait, I didn't know." "You didn't want to know," Danielle cut in. "Pack your things." The room gasped. The first domino had fallen. Next, her gaze shifted to the two guards. "You put your hands on me, without verifying, without listening. You treated me like a criminal in my own building." "You're done here," one guard tried to protest. "We were just following procedure." "No," Danielle snapped. "You were following prejudice. You failed." The guards' faces fell. The weight of her words crushed the last of their pride. One by one, she began pointing out names. The assistant manager who avoided eye contact, the bellhop who smirked, even a senior supervisor who had whispered instead of acting. "You failed me, all of you. In 9 minutes, you showed me exactly who you are." Employees began to plead. "Please, Ms. Rivers, I need this job." It was a misunderstanding. I was scared to speak up, but Danielle's tone didn't waver. 9 minutes. That's all it took to see your true character, and now you'll live with the consequences. From the back of the ballroom, a slow clap broke the silence. A guest, an older woman who had watched the whole scene in the lobby, stood and applauded. Then another joined. And another. Soon the entire group of guests, dozens of them, were clapping in unison. The sound filled the room, a tidal wave of support. Danielle stood taller, her authority magnified. The fired staff flushed with shame, shrinking in their uniforms. Danielle raised her hand, silencing the applause. "To those who remain," she said, turning to the few employees who had been absent or off duty during the incident, "you will help me rebuild this hotel. Tomorrow, I will personally interview every new hire. Crescent Palm will not be a place of arrogance or ignorance. It will be a place of dignity and respect." The words ignited hope in the few who had not failed her. They nodded, eager to prove themselves. By midnight, the hotel lobby looked different. The arrogant clerk was gone. The smug guards were gone. The silence of dismissal hung in the air. Danielle walked across the marble floor, her reflection shimmering under the chandeliers. Just hours ago, this same floor had been the stage of her humiliation. Now it was the stage of her triumph. She stopped at the glass doors, placing a hand on the cool surface. She remembered the sting of being pushed out. But now the doors were hers again. The sun rose the next morning, painting the Crescent Palm in gold. Fresh applicants lined up outside, resumes in hand, eager to join a new era. Danielle looked on from her office window, a satisfied smile tugging at her lips. Her hotel had betrayed her once. It would never happen again. For she had reclaimed not just the building, but the soul of the Crescent Palm, and she left a message carved in the memory of every guest, every employee, every witness. Respect is not optional. It's the foundation of everything.